Hey guys, how you doing today? I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm in a really bad mood today. It's hot, it's sticky, it's gross, and more importantly than any of that, the Liberal Party of Canada is doing everything it can to abandon its own citizens to a capitalist death cult. It's extremely obvious to anybody who pays attention for even 30 seconds. The Liberals put in the CERB desperately, and they know they made a mistake because they've done everything they could since then to break it up, split it up, make sure that not everybody is getting it, make sure that we'll send it over to students and then we'll send it over to workers, and then we'll steadily decrease it as they did just the other day. So what they're going to do is just steadily trickle it out until finally we're all dumped out onto the street and living in these tent cities, which I am now starting to call Trudeau towns, right? And while the Liberals are steadily decreasing everybody's support, guaranteeing a spike in homelessness in this country, guaranteeing a spike in poverty, while they're declining those supports, guess what they're doing? Oh, they've got a private members bill in. They're gonna pass a basic income, you guys. Seriously, for sure, yeah. They're serious about that, just like they were serious about electoral reform, just like they were serious about all of the pharmacare, right? All of these like legislative decisions that they've been promising over and over again for 20, 30 years in some cases, like. But, I mean, why shouldn't they do this, right? Why shouldn't they completely lie to the public and then not give anything? Because it's working, right? It's completely working. If all you had to do in order to get millions of dollars and get a big prestigious job was promise to do something and then never do it, that's exactly what would happen. And that's exactly how these Liberals operate, and for some reason, we, the gullible Canadian populace, are just completely going along with it. While homelessness spikes, while there are Trudeau towns being erected all over the place, filled with people who otherwise are good citizens. You go and talk to these people, they're just normal people who have hit hard times like a pandemic in the middle of their ridiculousness. And to begin with, people were one paycheck away from being insolvent in the first place. Oh hey, along comes a pandemic that lays a whole bunch of people off, that makes things difficult for everybody. Okay, well, in a panic, the Liberals passed the CERB, which one would assume if they actually cared about passing a basic income, they could just fold the CERB into that. But instead of that, it's been a decline steadily in complete lockstep with the Conservatives. Oh hey, and speaking of the Conservatives, this whole time they're still, even now, backing onto that old grift of like, oh, just go get a job. Well, guess what? Lots of the people living in these Trudeau towns, guess what? They have jobs. They have jobs. Like they work in the long-term care home where they go try to help people in bug-infested shitholes that the military came in and said people are literally dying of dehydration because they can't even get a glass of water while these places get privatized. Meanwhile, the Conservatives, mainly old people, right? They're going to get jammed into these places and then they're going to start to whinge at us and we're just going to look at them and be like, what are you talking about? You voted for this. I'm angry. I'm desperately angry because we could have a much better society than this, and we are choosing not to. We are choosing as a people to throw people onto the streets. We are choosing as a people to keep people poor. And what's insane about this is that we know that something like a basic income would be cheaper for us and more effective at eradicating poverty than maintaining the system of poverty as it stands right now. We know that that's true. And so the only conclusion that we can come to is that these capitalists want us to be homeless. They want us to be on the street. They want us to be living in these Trudeau towns. And the Liberals are looking at the situation and doing exactly what Liberals do. Oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry to hear that. And then walk right on by, right? It's like that story from the Bible, you know, if any conservatives out there, you know, the Bible, the book you all pretend to read but don't, there's a story in there about the Good Samaritan. And here's a retelling of it. A man's broken down, fallen down on the street. A conservative walks by, spits on him and tells him to get a job. The man tells him he has two. And the conservative keeps walking on by. A liberal comes by and says, "Oh dear, I'm so sorry that you're homeless. That must be so hard for you." And then walks on by and does absolutely nothing. An NDPer walks by. Big question marks. Big question marks. Will the NDP actually do something about these Trudeau towns? Will the NDP actually do something about a basic income? Will the NDP actually address systemic poverty in our country? Will they? Who knows? So the ending's yet to be writ on this story. And if we continue to ignore this issue, if we continue to ignore the fact that there's spiking poverty, that people are losing everything they have and are finding themselves in what are called tent cities. And the city's response, of course, is to clear out the ones that have been erected where the rich people go to shop. That's exactly what's happening in this city. That if you're up in the shopping district and you've got some tents in the shopping district, they're going to clear those out because the rich people don't want to see them. You better go to the poor neighborhood, right, where the tent cities are, where the Trudeau towns are, right? You can go set up there. That's fine, because we're going to make this whole issue invisible. We're going to make it so that nobody can see, nobody knows. We are abandoning people. We are abandoning our disabled, right? We are abandoning the poor. We are abandoning workers. We are abandoning every single person. Doug Ford recently went to give his condolences and do a speech for the 4 Muslim people that were run down by a terrorist, and he got booed. Good. He's only there for optics. He's a rapacious sociopath who has done everything he can to make life harder for everyone so that he can privatize long-term care homes and make money off of your grandmother's suffering. That's exactly what he's done. It's exactly what he's going to continue to do. And guess what? It's exactly what the Liberals are going to do. The Liberals are in lockstep with the Conservatives. And for God's sakes, like, Trudeau's walking around saying things like oh, the Great Reset, right? And erecting a fascist institution called the Canada Infrastructure Bank, right? And like, everything that he's actually doing, if you take a look at it for even a second, tells you that he's just preparing for a neo-feudal period. He's just preparing everybody. Yeah, what are they going to say to us? They're going to say, oh, Great Reset. Things are tumultuous now, but it'll be better on the other side, right? Exactly the same grift that they said to us through the neoliberal period, right? Exactly the same grift that they told us about trickle-down economics. Oh no, give all the money to the billionaires and then everything will be so much better. Yeah, I promise. Yeah, for sure, I promise. Yeah. Now the millennials are waking up and realizing, oh, we've got absolutely nothing. Gen Z is looking and saying, we have already been abandoned. If you're a Gen Z, you've been abandoned. Like, you're not going to recover. Like, if you're under the age of 30, I hate to break it to you, you will be living in a tent city at some point, one of these Trudeau towns. Like, it's just on the cards. And if you're gullible and stupid, like the majority of Canadians are, because we keep voting Conservative and we keep voting Liberal, if you're gullible and stupid, as we are, then you're just gonna believe what Trudeau says when he says, oh yeah, there's a Great Reset coming and things will be tough for a little while, but we'll just get through it. And then 10 years will pass and you'll realize, hey, when were things supposed to get better? And oops, guess what? Guess what? We pulled the wool over your eyes. It was all a scam. It was all a grift to keep you working for us while we fucked off and went to brunch and did nothing. That's exactly what the system is structured to do. They don't care if you're homeless. They don't care if you're disabled. They don't care if you need support. They don't care, right? They want to go to brunch with their billionaire buddies. They want you to go to sleep. They want you to stop complaining. They want you to do all the work while they go off and do absolutely nothing of value. And they're going to erect things like this private member's bill for basic income, so that when they go into this election, when they walk into this election, they can say, oh look, we've got a private member's bill that's steadily making its way up through the halls of power, right? And we all know what's gonna happen. We all know what's gonna happen. Oh, well, no, we all, not we all, because again, Canadians are stupid and gullible, allowing these Trudeau towns to exist in the first place. These heartless, sociopathic structures that we're just abandoning people to. And while there are all these empty houses, where there's all these empty condos, there's all this empty space, there are places to put these people, and our leadership refuses to put two and two together, because to do it, it would require them to actually work and do a job and take a stand and have morals and a backbone and a spine, and they've got none of that. They've just completely sold themselves out to corporate power, who are paying them well for their service, while the rest of us are gonna just suffer and get told to fuck off, which is exactly what's happening. And then the Karens and the Kens of the world are just gonna keep voting conservative, keep voting liberal, because they'll be like, oh, but there's that private member's bill. Don't you see that private member's bill? Yeah, the Liberals have certainly never done this grift before 100 times, where they put forward a bill and say that they're going to do something, and then the second they're elected, they kill it, right? They've never done that with electoral reform or pharmacare before, ever. Yeah, we're a bunch of gullible morons who keep voting for people who are actively attempting to destroy us, and it's literally not going to be until they're in one of these Trudeau towns, until they've been actively abandoned wholesale and completely, that they're going to stand up and realize what's happening. I don't like our society. I don't like this place. When I was growing up, I always believed that Canada was way better than this. I was educated in a publicly funded education system. There was a publicly funded healthcare system that was the pride of our nation, which we can't seem to do anything like that again. It seems as though that the ruling class views the universal healthcare system as a mistake instead of something to be prized and treasured, which is why they're doing everything they can to dismantle it constantly. We are better than this. We can do better than this. These Trudeau towns are a stain. They need to be eliminated, and they could be eliminated, and we could pass the legislation in a day. But the Liberals aren't interested in that. The Liberals are interested in obfuscation and smoke screening by putting up a private member's bill and pretending like that's actually going to do anything. We need to get rid of these sociopaths, right? These guys are lying to us. They're constantly lying to us, and we're just gullibly eating it up. And I don't understand why anymore. And it's just got to be that we are stupid, right? Like, we always look at the conservatives and we say, oh wow, those guys are out to lunch, like they're racist, and there's like all the QAnon and all that kind of stuff. Well, if you're voting liberal, you're just as stupid. Because a liberal is just a conservative waving a little pride flag and hoping you won't notice that they're selling weapons to the Yemeni genocide, selling weapons to the Palestinian genocide, that they're cutting every service you have, that they're destroying, they're erecting fascist institutions. Pride flag though, pride flag, vote liberal. If you go along those lines, you are stupid. They have abandoned us. That's their strategy. It's time for us to abandon them back. All right, this is the end of this video, guys. Like, share, subscribe. I come with joyful news. My Patreon is down below. If every one of my subscribers gave me $2, I would have my rent paid. So please consider just donating $2, right? Keep me out of one of these Trudeau towns. Keep me out of one of these Trudeau towns, right? If you care. Under these circumstances, guys, you are doing really wonderfully. You are, right? You've got politicians who are doing everything they can to lie to you and pretend as though they care when they don't, obviously. And you got billionaires who are gaslighting you, telling you that you're less than what you are, right? Trying to convince you that, oh no, the reason you're alive is to work for us while we fuck off and do absolutely nothing, right? Don't let them. Don't let these sociopaths get away with this shit. Stop voting liberal, stop voting conservative. Full stop. You are a divine being, standing on divine energy. We could use some of it right now. Good luck. We're gonna need it.